In this video, we're going to demonstrate a new employee onboarding example. As you look at the screen here, we're looking at the service catalog from within the ServiceNow standard portal UI. If you wanted to put this on the self-service portal, you could also display it there. But for now, we're gonna access the new employee request from this catalog. So I'm going to click into on and offboarding services. And you'll notice in there we have this new employee hire item. So go ahead and click on that. And what we'll do is just walk through adding a new person into the system here, or starting a new process to onboard a new employee. So I'll go ahead and make them, let's see, we'll make them a developer, and we'll put them in the Department of Development. And I won't add any additional services here. What you're looking at is an order guide. So this information getting keyed in up front, and these pieces of information here are actually going to drive what's displayed on this next screen. But this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting, in that when you onboard a new employee, you notice you've got this facilities tab here, add employee to corporate directory, get them a development laptop. So these, and of course this is a simplified example, but you can take all of the disparate things that have to happen when someone is onboarded and put them together in a single order guide. And so that's what you're seeing here. So this will be a screen we fill out here in a second for adding them to Active Directory. This will be a development laptop that's going to get ordered. We'll select some options there. But again, when you think about onboarding, there's all these potentially disparate processes that have to execute in parallel as part of the onboarding process. So this facilities request here will say this is a new developer. We want to have this done by the 26th, and we're going to say they're an on-site worker. You can put many other pieces of information on the screen if you want to. We've just kept it simple for this example. We're going to add them to the directory, the Active Directory, and so this is actually going to use our orchestration activities to talk to Active Directory. So we'll put them in the San Diego office. We'll make Fred Luddy the manager. And that should be sufficient. Let me go down. We'll go ahead and add him as a member of the development group. And this is a development Active Directory group. And then we'll come over here to our development laptop. And we've got a couple items. We'll just leave those selected. So there are 3 workflow processes, and in this one, the AD one is actually going to use some of our orchestration activities and do some automation. But there are 3 separate processes that are going to be kicked off by this new hire. So as you look at the confirmation screen here, we have these 3 different processes, and you can see the fulfillment status of those on this confirmation screen. And now what we'll do is switch over and look at the request. So if we're a fulfiller, go ahead and click on the request record. So this request record was just created based on us submitting that request. Let's look at the workflow for the request, and you'll notice in here that the sum amount of the items, so the laptop, was greater than $1,000, and so this requires approval. So we'll go back to our request record and we'll look at our approvers, and this is all coming out of a group. We'll go ahead and pick one of these and just have one of them approve. Of course, I can do this because I'm logged in as an admin, so I can just approve right from here. Okay, and now if we look at our workflow, we should see that we've gone out of the approval, and we have, and now we've gone to the end. So the request has been approved, which means the requested item processes can now start. So if we look at the facilities onboarding, you can see there's a pending on-site setup. If we go into that item, and we look at the workflow for that item, we've got this process is started, and we kept it pretty simple, right? If it was on-site, we're going to assign an on-site task. If it's remote, we're going to assign a remote task. And so we've created an on-site task. So if we look back at our item and we look at the tasks that are associated to this item, you can see down here there's a task assigned to facilities group, and the description for that is facilities on-site onboarding task. And so this is a task for them to go set up the office, and so they'd get an email and a notification that they needed to accomplish this task. If we go back and look at some of the other items on the request, development laptop, so that's kicked off a process there. I won't go into that now, but the one that's really interesting is this automated one, where a process is kicked off and automatically done all of the work and got this user added to Active Directory. So if I scroll down and we go down and show the workflow here, what we'll see is a little bit more complex workflow, but this is all automatic. And so what's happened is that the process is started. It is determined that this is a new user that's going to be added. And then what it's doing is it's actually talking to Active Directory, creating the user in Active Directory, and then also adding that user to groups. So if I go look at, so I just opened up I've got a remote desktop into an Active Directory server. And as you look at this list here, you'll notice there's no John Doe in this list. So I opened this up before I started the video. You'll notice under the John section here, there's no John Doe. Because our process is run and automatically added John Doe, if I refresh this list now, we should see, when I scroll down to the J section here, John Doe. So John Doe has been added. If I go into that record, you can see the office has been put in there. You can see an email has been created automatically. The phone number I keyed in is in there. First name, last name. And then the groups, we had selected development, so has also been added to the development group. So that's a simple example of an onboarding process, which could be, frankly, quite a bit more involved if you had other additional processes you wanted to kick off, other additional automated steps, or different groups that needed to work on tasks. But in general, ServiceNow can manage both the human tasks, so in our example, facilities and them setting up an office, and the automated tasks, of course in this example, creating an Active Directory account, all together in one large request, and then each requested item will have its own workflow to go fulfill that portion of the request. So that's it, just a quick example of how to use workflow to onboard an employee.